back again, recording another episode of our podcast with the fandom of Shaurya Anokhi Ki Kahani. Guys, how are you this Saturday afternoon? Afternoon for us, but actually night for you. How was your weekend?
I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a perfectly healthy start to the weekend with our debates today. So it was an amazing experience and we had a lot of fun over there. Congratulations, Team Sai, and well done, Team Anokhi. You guys did really well. Both the teams, gave their best, and the best team and the best people won. So better luck next time, Team Anokhi. You were all very great.
Absolutely, yeah. That was one hell of a debate between, the women supporting women debate, the hashtag women supporting women debate between Team Anoki and Team Sai. Two fictional characters from Star Plus's serials, Gum Hai Kisi Ke Pyar Mein and Shaurya Anokhi Ki Kahani. And both of them, the teams that represented these two characters, pitted against each other in a debate of feminism with three really esteemed judges. We're here to talk this week about an issue that came up during the week with Shaurya Anokhi Kahani, which is why do Indian in-laws have so many expectations from their daughter-in-laws? And what should we do to normalize this expectations? And we're going to talk about all of that in context to what is happening with Anokhi post her marriage in the Sabharwal household. But before we do that, Shreya, why don't you give us a lowdown on what happened this week?
This week was, I mean, it was a week about flop shows and flop plans on behalf of Alok and Shagun. I mean, the week started with, Alok and Shagun trying their best to ruin their first night. And, eventually that didn't happen. Shaurya and Anokhi did have a wonderful first night. And then the next day, they had their first rasoi where, Tej and Anokhi had a war of words. And finally, Tej giving in, and we had a showdown between the Sabharwals and Anokhi, and they finally, showed their patriarchal mindset to Anokhi in their full glory. So that was a bit of a shock for her, and she's trying her best to adjust in that environment. And now and it's then at the same time now she has to deal with her exams, and she had a kind of a mishap with her exam. Like, she mistakenly, actually it was not a mistake, it was a plant by Arlo to make her think it was a philosophy paper when it was an economic one. So sorry, sociology paper when it was a economic one. So all those petty and silly drama and plot points that Alok keeps on trying to create some drama in this show and some conflict in the show, and due to which there actually did develop a misunderstanding between Shaurya and Anokhi for the first time, where Shaurya got into an altercation with Kitty and Bebo and with the family, and it turned out that actually Anokhi kind of made Shaurya embarrassed in front of the family. So we'll see how is that panning out, that insecurity, now that Anokhi has decided to go for a teaching position in the college as an assistant teacher. So let's see if that goes down. We know it's not gonna go down good well with the Sabharwals, but let's see if she gives a damn to what they think and what they say. We are looking forward to that.
All thanks to the vicious prejudices that we see on serials like this. Uh, the term in-laws is seen by most women in India as scary, isn't it? Young women dreaming of a happy married life are often worried about their freedom and they're worried about their future when the fault really lies in the mentality at large that is responsible for depicting people in a certain way. But also people to think that they are entitled. Our society isn't balanced when it comes to marriage. What makes the boy's family think that they're entitled to treat the girl who's marrying their son in a certain way, right? Where is this entitlement coming from? Anyway, it is a man who gets the unfair privilege. The woman is just expected to follow the stereotype. This is why parents of the man become entitled whereas parents of the woman get ignored. Why does that happen? A woman is expected to leave everything and not follow her dreams. However, there are also families that that staying in peace is the norm. Families where daughter-in-laws are treated as equals, families where love is showered upon a new member entering the family. Therefore, Indian in-laws is more a matter of which family do you land yourself up in rather than the stereotype. So let's talk a little bit more about what family did dear Anoki land herself into. So let's just for the audience give a brief view of what you think about the patriarchy and the mindset that you see come from Devi and Tej. What is there? What makes them? Why are they scared about Anoki? Why are they scared about letting her study? Why are they scared about letting her be? And then what is the problem with Alok? He's okay with his daughters doing what they're doing, but he's not okay with Anoki doing what she's doing. Let's talk about that a little bit. Manushi, what do you think?
So basically, the whole concept of patriarchy stems from the Indian mentality that we all have been conditioned to be around. So it's like men usually believe Tej is a person who has the entire trump card and the entire deck of cards in his hand, but he's scared to lose that power because what men think that if we educate women, they are going to be powerful and then they are going to cause a chaos, and which is what scares the shit out of Tej Sabharwal. He thinks that the moment Anokhi is going to pursue and become someone strong, he is going to fall weak in terms of power. Okay, this is the one side of mentality that Tej has. And people do feel that घर की बहू है तो उसकी लगाम पकड़ के रखनी चाहिए. That lagam thing is so trashy. I mean, you treat your son in a very good way, and at the other hand you treat your daughter-in-law in a very biased way. Why can't you just be equal on both sides? And with Devi, the problem is she's a control freak. She had a problem when Asta wanted to pursue her dreams because she was scared of the fact that Asta is again going to have the control card. Devi and Tej just want the control card in their hands, and which is what they represent most part of our Indian families, Indian in-laws. To be specific, because every Indian in-law family used to feel previously that bahu hai to ghar ki dehliz par nahi karni chahiye, and all those things that we've grown up hearing ki ladki to rasoi banati hai and aadmi kaam pe jata hai, that mentality has been broken, because now we are in the era where men and women both cook together and both go hand in hand at work. That is the era where we belong.
Gender roles have moved on from early man times, and Tej's mindset is an early man mindset. He has a hunter-gatherer mindset. But where is the reality check for them? Why isn't anybody else within their family giving them a reality check? Why aren't they able to? Is the question that I would ask, because otherwise they're very modern. They show that they're very modern. How do they survive in the society with that kind of a mindset and be respected at all?
I don't think they're modern at first point. Remember the incident where in Shaurya's birthday, Tej and Devi didn't want this Kanchan and Yash to dance because it would look bad on their reputation. They have that mindset. I don't know where does this come from. They belong,
right?
yeah. Exactly. So they have this mindset, and I think that is what Anokhi is going to break here, because she is not going to give a damn. She's a rebel, and she's a rebel for the right reasons as well. Because she knows that what she has to do, she has to do. She is going to pursue her career. She's going to do whatever it takes to be at a position that she imagines herself to be. And Shaurya and Anokhi together are going to open eyes of the Sabharwals. Is what I'm looking forward to, honestly.
What do you think about that, Shreya?
So see, I think Indian in-laws are kind of like a game of Russian roulette. You never know what card you're being dealt with. I mean, to be honest, like it is actually a genuine fear even if whether you're getting like married from a love in a love marriage or an arranged marriage situation, you're never too sure how your future, how your family life is going to turn out to be. Even if your husband is very supportive, you know, in-laws also play a huge part. So the problem or the crux of the issue is, it's like you're entering someone else's home and you are expected to abide by their rules. But I think marriage shouldn't be a set of rules. Not any house should not have a set of rules. So the thing is like, there I think people are scared of changes. In-laws or older people in general are very scared of change. So if they think that if a new person is coming into their life, especially a daughter-in-law, she'll disrupt the set pattern. She'll question everything. So maybe that is a fear or apprehension that they have. I'm trying
Why
to
is
present
that
it.
even a fear in the first place? Where
Yeah.
is this insecurity stemming from?
Yeah.
And
So
most
insecurity.
more with the mother-in-law than with
Yeah, exactly.
where is this insecurity coming from? Is she going to change my son? Is she going to bring
Yeah.
change? Oh, I mean, I don't know where this is stemming from in the first place, but both of you
Yeah.
are on the anvil of getting married, and you're almost there. And do you feel that, are you going to change yourself?
No, not really. So that's what I'm saying. See, but the thing is, I don't want to be my husband's mother. So I don't want to mummy him. I don't want to cook him his favorite food. I mean, he already has that person in his life. So, see, that's the thing. We have this expectation that the bahu is the second mummy to your son. So don't have that expectation. His partner, not a mother. So don't like, she'll take care of him. Why? I mean, he can take care of himself, and I can take care of myself. We are equal partners in that sense. So that is the thing. We should like look at marriage as an institution like that. It's a match between two equals. Here they are expecting, Bahu to take care of everything of the house, or do all household chores. So this expectation that
So where is the
ideal.
entire role coming? I mean, of
Yeah,
course, that's traditionally what Bahus used to do.
yeah,
But in this day and age, why are we still carrying that role into
yeah,
lives? Why is the Bahu supposed to come and cook everything? Like right now, Anoki is supposed to cook. Why? Who
yeah.
cooked their food before Anoki married into that house? What the hell? I mean, it's so funny that all of a sudden, being a Bahu, she's got to do all the housework, and that's her job. That's a
Yeah.
job for Bahu. Since when has Bahu become equivalent to maid? Don't they have
Yeah.
money to be a maid? Don't they have maid? Aren't they rich enough to have servants in the house?
It's not even about having a maid. See, the thing is, the only if a criteria for being a good bahu is only your cooking skill and your cleaning skills, then why have a bahu? Just have a maid. So your nature, your intelligence, does that count for nothing when it comes to being a good daughter-in-law? Your caring nature, your love and your affection for the family. I don't know if it doesn't count for anything. I would rather be that I will like, okay, you hire a maid, I'll be off. I don't need this thing. So that is the thing. I think you need like people need to understand. See, if you are getting a daughter-in-law in your home, treat her as a daughter. She'll give the affection 10 times, tenfold more. Every woman or every person who's showered in affection will try to be as much affectionate as they can. And also the mindset, like if I'm getting married, my mother, I'm just giving an example, my mother will give me the advice that Anoki's mother also gave her. Try to adjust in a new household. I mean, why should the owners be just upon the daughter-in-law, who's entering the house, to adjust? Why can't the family and the mother-in-law can also start adjusting a bit? you know Let loose, let you a compromise. It's a adjustment between both the families. It takes time. It's not like it's instant. It takes time. It's an organic process. You have to give it a time. But you can't expect her to be a maid and cook everything, clean everything. That's not what marriage is about anymore. That's what I feel. And I know I can be wrong, and it can be because I'm coming from a privileged position. As I mentioned, as I accept that I don't face this dilemma or this fear or apprehension that the other girls my age or other background might feel. I'm not denying that it doesn't happen, but that's saying maybe in in coming years and with changing perception on television, it can help. Like, see, for example, Asta as your mother-in-law. I mean, we have two mother-in-law in the show. Asta, one is Asta and the other is Devi. So we can show the contrast and show who is a better mother-in-law from the perspective of a daughter-in-law and a son. Like, if it's being shown that Shora is losing respect for Devi because of her behavior, other people around them are losing their respect because of how they're treating Anoki, and like showing them the mirror that what you're doing is wrong. It might make an impact on society and influence the viewers of the show that this is what you can face: social ostracization, social boycott or something like that. So it could impact a mind if you show it positively. So I see this show has a great potential of doing that. Shan and Asta are perfect contrast to Tej and Devi, but it needs to be highlighted more. Right now, I'm not seeing Shan and Asta being that shield and showing that contrast and showing that mirror to Tej and Devi. They are not a great adversaries to them right now. It's only Anoki fighting our battles. Why? Yeah, it can be shown that Shan and Asta are taking a stand for their daughter-in-law. It can be a great message for everyone.
Okay, what I believe
I
is
completely
that,
agree
like,
with there,
sorry.
definitely. But Manushi, the other aspect of this entire thing is a power struggle. Of course, the house is being run in a certain way. A new member comes in, and she has a different point of view, and then the present people in the home look at that person as an outlier, right? So how do you balance that power struggle? And you can actually define it in terms of what's the solution to that power struggle. How does that kind of work in terms of, especially in joint families, because in India specifically, joint families like this work. I mean,
Okay.
that's how families live. But if it were nuclear families, and this is not something that would come up so much at all. These are not issues that these are not issues we even speak about in nuclear families, especially here, because hey, you get married, you go live wherever, then you figure out how you're going to run the household, because that's so secondary to your work. Everything is defined around where you're working, how your lifestyle is going to be around your work, and ultimately the duties of the home fall in line with how your work schedules are. Literally, it's nothing to do with who's the mother-in-law, who's the daughter-in-law, or who the power person in the home is, because all your daily struggles are kind of whoever is the one in the family who could do it, literally. So nobody thinks about gender roles at that point in time. Whoever is free will take care of the kids, kind of things. So in that kind of an atmosphere, all these discussions don't come in. I mean, sometimes they do, because maybe men are brought up not to think about it that way. But a lot of times we've seen women, men take the responsibility in our societies. Then, of course, men change. They see that the other communities around them, men do not have hang-ups around doing that job. So men transform from coming from India. They transform themselves into being those men, because they see that the other men don't have an issue doing it. So you become what you see is a very important aspect of change as well. And in India, I think that will be a bigger thing to also happen. And I know that in bigger cities, you've seen the change at all. There are a lot more men that work at home, and women that go to work. So a lot of change in character of relationships is happening. Gender roles are kind of getting redefined. But how do you do that? How do you define the power struggle in joint families? Because I know both of you are going to get married into joint families, right?
So what I feel is that, when you come from a very different mindset, like I've been brought up in a very very chilled out atmosphere. You know, I've never faced any restrictions. I've never been dragged by my mom that, you know, please go up and wake up and just go to the kitchen and cook breakfast or anything. But as a bahu, you are always expected that you're going to do certain things. So how that breaks for me is like, see, I used to feel that my mother-in-law, I don't want her to feel that I'm here to snatch your son. You know, that is the mentality that moms have, that the bahu is going to take away their uh, place in his son's life, you know. So I just, what I did was, personally, I was very friendly with my mother-in-law, and I used to upfrontly, we used to discuss about my fiance, both of us, that we used to have a discussion that, you know, this is happening, this is happening. She used to keep me posted about his things, I used to keep her posted about his things. If there's anything in the house, that he is a very angry person for a fact, so whatever happens at his place, his mom started believing me that, you know, I am not here to break her house or something, but I am there to take care of her son, and not just to take care of her son, but to, I'm someone who's actually equivalent to her son. And she started respecting me, she started understanding that I am someone who is actually not just here to man up for your child's responsibility, but also to be a part of this family. I willingly want to be a part of this family. So that's the kind of rapport that I started building with her. And she started believing in me, I started believing in her. And I think this is how you try to break the ice, because when a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law bond, you my mother-in-law is literally like my mom, because she will tell me things, she'll tell me things she would never probably tell Jainish. She would tell me things, I would tell her things, I would consult her for every little thing I do, or she would come up to me. So that's a kind of rapport. And the power system here breaks when you try to put a you try to piece out the, you know, the kind of wars that you have mentally, because my mother-in-law probably would be thinking that ye to ghar todne aayi hai, या whatever, that, you know, the mentality that we have, that ye to ghar todne aayi hai, ye to mere bacche ko mujhse chheen legi, which is a mom's boy concept. So I don't strictly feel that all moms are like that. You have to gel up with people in order to make them accept you. Like for me personally, I was not someone, I was honestly not my mother-in-law's choice. She wanted Jainish to get married to someone from their caste, and I was not from their caste. And they thought that pata nahi kahan se hogi, kaisi hogi. They all had that perception. And I remember slowly and gradually they came up to me and told me that, you know, we actually thought that you are from some different family. So tum to mere bacche ko mujhse dur kar logi ya fir ghar tod dogi types. But this is there. This is the mentality which is there. And now they are like, they are very, very proud to choose me for their son, which is what the level I have developed with them even before marriage. And I think this is what I'll tell every girl, that your mother-in-law cannot be your enemy, or it's not vice versa. You can't be an enemy to your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law is not an enemy. We don't live in the world of Komolikas and, you know, Prernas. That world is long gone back. You just have to believe in and trust your mother-in-law for that matter. And if you deal with a patriarchal mindset, my in-laws do have a patriarchal mindset. They do have. My dadi sas believes that, you know, job karna is so bad for a bahu, this that. So Jainish openly tells me that, you know, he would literally mock his dadi sas, saying that मैं तो सोचता हूँ कि मैं घर पे बैठूं एंड ये काम पे जाए, आई विल हैंडल द हाउस होल्ड थिंग्स एंड ये जाएगी काम पे. He says that so loudly, and he always tells me that I would be the happiest कि तू काम पे जा, you take up the responsibility and I'll stay home and I'll cook food for you, and फिर जब तू आएगी तब I'll give you food. So that is the kind of mentality that we have, right? And my mom, I tell my mother-in-law that post shadi we both will work, but now we can have turns. एक दिन Jainish will cook, एक दिन I will cook, एक दिन she can cook in between. And she always tells me कि तू अपना काम कर, kitchen संभालने के लिए मैं हूँ. I just want you guys to wake up in the morning and just get ready so that you don't get late for work. That is the only concern she has. That is the only concern. So my mother-in-law doesn't have a patriarchal mindset. My father-in-law also doesn't, but their in-laws do have. So I
Because
have to deal with
they
that.
come from that life, they haven't seen anything else. And
They haven't.
when they see change
Yeah,
around them, they normally do. But
yeah. My
for
mother-in-law.
for the older generation is much less. Now
Yeah,
coming to, let's just, this is a discussion that we can keep talking about this forever, because this has been going on forever, right? Getting into your lives, I mean, if you were Anoki, what are the changes you want to see? You getting into your life and you, Manushi, getting into your life. What are the societal changes you would want to see getting into, as a daughter-in-law, getting married into a joint family, with the situation that there is? What are the changes that you want to see, not only in the way men are brought up, but also in the families? Let's start with you, Shreya. Your list of like the top five changes, and Manushi, your five changes. Like, and better think through this, because your changes have to be different. Okay, go for it, Shreya.
Okay, so the thing is, like, I don't know, like, there are two way of dealing with things. One is like, मेरे साथ जो हुआ है, मैं वही करूंगी. You know, what I have faced to, my daughter-in-law has to face the same thing. The second aspect, like, the second mindset is, जो मैंने फेस किया है, वो मैं अपनी बहू को कभी फेस नहीं करने दूंगी. या मैंने जो फेस किया, मैं अपनी बेटी को कभी फेस नहीं करने. I think the people should, look for the second option. I mean, they should start thinking that there's a, like, whatever they have faced at hands of their in-laws, or that patriarchal mindset, they shouldn't pass it on to their daughter-in-laws and sons and daughters. One would be that. Second is respect choices. Like, for example, I know I'm giving my example, but I don't like, I'm practicing Jain, so I don't eat onion, garlic, and potato. And I'm getting married into a Vaishnav family, so it's a totally different religion. So they respect my religion, and they're like, that conversation never cropped up. And ours is an arranged marriage, so it's not like a love marriage that that their son has selected me, and I'm just getting copped onto them. They have consciously made that choice, that and they respect my choices and my decision, that if she doesn't want to, not she has her own food choice, and they respect my choices, and they respect my decision. So respect other people's choices and decision. Don't fob off your thinking or your philosophy on the other person. Same way, try and adjust with their nature. That would be my thing for both the in-laws and the daughter-in-law. So what happens is, when sometimes, like, I would think my father-in-law is very strict, or like my mother-in-law is very emotional. If I look at from that perspective, that even my dad is very strict, that even my mom is sometimes very emotional. So if you start treating them as your parents, and try to accept them with their flaws, I think they'll do the same, like they would accept their flawed kid. So that is the thing, like, we accept people with their flaws. Everyone has flaws, so you can't expect them to be perfect. You have to try and make them see their mistake, and I'm sure they'll do the same with you. So accept the flaws. That's my third thing that I would want people to do. Fourth would be, start building and developing that bond and trust. So trust is very important. If you keep, if you put that trust in them, and if they start putting in trust, you have to earn their trust, and they vice versa, they have to earn your trust. So that comes with time. You can't expect them to trust you instantly, and you can't also put that trust in them instantly. And I mean, I have experienced it with myself. When I initially, we started, talking to each other, I used to address them as auntie and uncle. And I don't know, at back of my mind, I always found it, them to be a bit distant. But since I started calling them mummy and daddy, believe me, something changes within you, and you start feeling, you start respecting that bond. Mummy and daddy, that word, itself gives you that emotional connect with someone. So, and the same way, they also call me beta. Beta. They always call me beta, and they'll just hug me. My mother never hugs me, or my dad never hugs me. So when my mother-in-law hugs me, I find it very very odd, like that physical demonstration. But now I am adjusting to that, that affection, because we are not as a family very physically demonstrative. So sometimes it's just, so try accepting those, their, sometimes when they're being overly affectionate, enjoy it and reciprocate. So I think reciprocation of the bond and respect, that will go a long way. And fourth and fifth and the most important thing is humor. Please make fun of your spouse, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, and make fun of yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. If they are having fun at your expense, laugh. And if they are saying something funny, humor is, I tell you, humor is the best way to deal with any situation. Even if it's a tense situation, try to lighten the mood and conversation. Don't get into that tense conversation and confrontations right away. Let people be calm in their, let people let the mood be very light for having any serious discussion. So that is the thing, just deal with them like you would deal with their parents. I don't see a difference between like how I deal with my mom and dad and how I deal with their like my in-laws. To be honest, I mean, that could be just my experience. I don't find them to be, some like some other being from another planet who I need to, reverend and respect, like on some different level. I respect them and love them as I would my parents, I think, and they would respect me and love me like they would respect their own child. So I think that's the thing. You just, you know, that's
That's
how
great. That's
families
great
work.
to hear, Shreya. That's amazing to hear. Manashi, how about you? And let's just
Okay.
close the discussion right after
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I have a love marriage with, like, she has arranged marriage. I have a love marriage. So I would love to contradict a lot of things and at the same time relate to a lot of things here as well. So first thing I would want as a daughter-in-law is that they should understand that I'm coming from a different family background, and they also hail from a different family background. Being from different caste or whatever doesn't matter, but you're different humans, so you have to understand and respect each other's space, that this is how I work. Like, if I, for example, if I cook, I don't want anyone else in the kitchen. This is my style of working, for example. Then my mother-in-law has to understand that I need to cook in certain way, and if she has certain habits, I need to understand and adapt to it. So the adaptiveness that has to be there, that this is the habit that this XYZ person has, this is the habit that this person has. We need to be adaptive of each other's habits. That is how you learn to adjust. And that is why they say that when you live together under the same roof, from right from the morning to night what that person does, and then you put yourself into their shoes and try to understand. Because I believe in life, we be too quick to be impulsive, or to be not judgmental but to be hasty about things. So when I feel my mother-in-law is wrong, I have a very open conversation with her. So I'll share an incident. She asked me to dress up in a certain way because Dadaji and everyone were coming. So I just very, very frankly told her that my clothing has nothing to do with my sanskar. If you feel that my clothing has something to do with my sanskar, I'm sorry to put you off, but I don't think I am being disrespectful if I wear a one piece or and then touch their feet and seek their blessings. And at the same time, even if I wear a salwar kameez and seek the blessings, it's my mind, it's my intention of being pure, which is going to reflect. I don't think my clothing matters. And she understood. She understood. So you have to have a certain wall of respect between the two, but at the same time, I feel as a family you should talk it out. Because it's not that we no longer have the hierarchies कि oh my god सास से directly जाके कैसे बात करेंगे, and we don't live in that era anymore. Here I can go up to my mother-in-law and she can come up to me and tell me that this is wrong. Abhi we don't live in that era जहाँ पे वो मेरे को बोलेगी तेरी करेले की सब्जी में तो नमक कम था, oh my god मैं तो इतनी अच्छी बनाती हूँ. We don't live in that era. She'll come up to me, she'll say कि बेटा इसमें थोड़ा सा नमक ज्यादा था, बट उसमें थोड़ा नींबू डाल दिया तो बहुत बहुत अच्छा हो गया, बहुत अच्छा बनाया तुमने. This is the kind of efforts that you put, you understand each other. Second thing I would want to change, or I would want, is that the daughter-in-laws usually are not welcomed to business, to the family business. So I have seen this in my in-laws. So they have a brick manufacturing unit and everything. So I kind of give them open suggestions that, why don't you guys do this? And they do welcome it. So that was for a fact very new to me, because my mom had tried to help my dad, but then she was not welcomed with her point of views, because they say that a woman could not do business, and they say that घर की बहू है तो आदमियों के काम में क्यों पड़ेगी बीच में. This mindset has to break. So I see a lot of positive change that is happening in this tangent, because a lot of families are accepting their daughter-in-laws getting involved. In fact, many father-in-laws, like my father-in-law, would come up to me and say that, please devise me a good plan. You and Jainish both work on a good plan and tell me. I will do that. So that is the kind of a rapport that we have. And the third thing I would want is there should be, she should not feel inferior of me. I should not feel inferior of her. She should not feel that I am a competitor to her, like, that mentality that, oh my God, she's a competitor. My God, iski bahu to itni tez hai, iski saas to ye hai, iski saas to wo hai. That competitor mindset has to go off. So me and my mother-in-law, I don't think we've ever had that competitive mindness कि oh my God ऐसा है वैसा है. Like there are times जब मेरे को नहीं पता कि उनके फैमिली में कैसे करते हैं चीजें, तो she'll come up to me and say कि बेटा ऐसे ऐसे करते हैं, ऐसे ऐसे करते हैं. She'll instruct me on calls कि बेटा ऐसे बोलना, तुम ऐसे बोलना. I'll tell her things कि आप ऐसे बात करो, ऐसे बात करो. So she learns a lot of things from me. वो मुझे बोलती है कि तू जितनी confident है, काश I would have been that confident and told my mother-in-law as well कि मुझे जो करना है, let me do. And then that thing that you mentioned, that there are mother-in-laws who say कि मेरे साथ जो हुआ मेरी बहू के साथ नहीं होगा. So I belong very proudly to that side of the tangent, because my mother-in-law always says that मेरे को जो नहीं किया, she was an interior designer. She pursued interior designing, and she wanted to go for business plans and other things for various things, but then she was not allowed, and she didn't fight up. Jainish always was disappointed in his mother for this fact that she didn't fight, and he stood for his mother, but they suppressed him that तू तो बच्चा है, बैठ जा करके. So if had my mother-in-law stood up for herself, so things would have been different. So she asked me that तुझे जो लगता है, do it. You feel this is right, just do it. Don't think कि कोई क्या सोचेगा. And this is a mindset I would really want every freaking in-law family to have, that accept your bahu as not a furniture piece or not as a slave for your family, but as someone of your own. The day you accept your daughter-in-law to be your daughter, believe me, the change is right here. So Jainish doesn't have a sister or brother, so they treat me like their daughter for a reason. They always say that they got a daughter in my form. So this is the kind of mindset I would really want. The fourth point would be जो सोचते हैं ना कि फैमिलीज है, बड़े हैं तो उनको जाके ये नहीं बोल सकते, ये छोटे हैं तो उनको ये नहीं बोल सकते. आई थिंक देयर शुड बी अ वेरी ओपन कॉन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन ऑल द बिग एंड स्मॉल पीपल ऑफ द फैमिली. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि बड़े गलती नहीं कर सकते. Elders can be wrong, and elders really are wrong at many times, and they should man up and say कि हाँ हम गलत है. Even if children make mistake, they can man up, then why can't adults? So that difference has to go off, and I think it has gone up till a very bigger extent now, because in my own family I've seen that बड़े गलती नहीं करते, ऐसा नहीं होता. Families can be wrong and they will be wrong. Nobody is termed to be perfect, which is why you should accept everyone with flaws. Everyone is flawlessly flawless. Flawed yet flawless, sorry. Flawed yet flawless. That is what I would want. And the fifth and the most important thing is that the families should understand that you don't have to really live up to the expectations of society कि बहू तुम्हारी बहू तो सुबह उठ के खाना नहीं बनाती, तुम्हारी बहू तो ये नहीं करती, तुम्हारी बहू तो वो नहीं करती, you know. So my sas has faced this. She would say that I don't want my bahu to be like others because she is there as her own self. She never tries to target me or fix me in boxes और क्राइटेरियाज कि हाँ ये करना चाहिए. देयर इज नो चेकलिस्ट फॉर हर कि ओके मानुषी को उठ के सुबह ये करना चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए, ये करना. नो, that is what the mother-in-laws and the in-laws of the family should learn, that don't try to put your bahu in a limelight saying कि oh my god गुप्ता जी की बहू तो ऐसा करती है, तुम्हें भी करना पड़ेगा. That has to go off, you know, because you can't level up your bahu, and it's not a competition of bahus in the market that which bahu is going to be the topmost bahu and other things. So you have to understand that treat them as individuals, treat them as individuals who do have different habits, who do have different layers to their skin, who have different mindsets, and who are beautiful in their own ways. So I think this is what I would say, that every in-law
Very,
family.
very, very nicely put, Manushi. And you know, in our Indian society, even though you know we're doing so much to bring equality, but still the son-in-law is almost royalty, isn't he? Often wonder why the treatment is so different for a son-in-law versus the daughter-in-law. A daughter-in-law is expected to maintain relationships on both sides of the family, but nobody asks a son-in-law, why he doesn't maintain relationships too. You know, he's not supposed to. It's not his job to do that. It's not even in his role. That, you know, he's too busy to do that. But the daughter-in-law, even if she's busy doing 50 things and multitasking, she still needs to, because it's her duty, it's her responsibility to maintain a balance and relationships. So here we go. That's the first one. When in-laws are unwell, the daughter-in-law is supposed to go and take care of them. Even if she lives in another city, she's supposed to drop everything and take care of them. You don't expect that of a son-in-law. And if he does that, you're embarrassed that he's doing it, or it's a big deal that he's doing it. Why aren't these two relationships equal? When two equal people are meeting in a marriage, when it's a marriage of two equals, why aren't the relationships equal? Why is one side, why is the boy side of the family more important than the girl side of the family? We don't know why that's happened. This needs to get fixed in our society. When, you know, why is there this expectation when a girl and boy get married, the boy's family asks the girl's family if the girl can cook the food? Why isn't the girl's family asking the same questions of the boy? Can he cook too? Can he do basic stuff of life too? Because gender roles are far gone. Those days are over. If gender roles are over, far gone, both of them are earning, both of them have the same education, both of them are supposed to be doing the same amount of work. So these are things that haven't happened in our society yet, even though, you know, things have moved on. If the girl is going to live in the boy's house, the boy should also go live in the girl's house once in a while. What is
What
this about?
happens?
तू ससुराल में रहेगा and it's a big deal and घर जमाई बनेगा. लड़की भी तो रह रही है ना तुम्हारे घर में. If it's a marriage of equals, then both families need to meet equally. That is very important, and that mindset change is extremely important for our society to
Really,
be
it does.
egalitarian society. And again, the daughter-in-law in most places, I mean, she needs to needs to put her husband's family as her first priority, and their mothers tell them to do that. That's so lame in this day and age. No, both families need to be equally put at priority. Her family and her husband's family. Similarly for the husband, his family and his wife's family need to be put together at the same level, at the same priority. So and then again I see this outsider tag. ये हमारे घर की बहू है, but she's an outsider. Let's keep her out of the family discussions. Let's not involve her in decision making. That doesn't work anymore. She's a living member of your family. The day she marries your son, she is a part of that family, and she will take all the important decisions together with your son. So she is and will remain a very spectacular spectacularly important part of your family. And then again, these insecurities and all that, come on, grow up, women. You have given all the choices in the world for to your sons. Give the same choices to your daughter-in-laws. I think that is where we'd love to leave this discussion for now. The Indian damad era is gone. The Indian Bahu era is here, but then we don't want it to be a ultra feminist Indian Bahu era without the Indian Damat tagging along. So what we're asking for is an egalitarian era where whatever is going on with the Indian Damat for so many years is exactly the same priority that Indian Bahu gets. I think that's where we call it a society of equals. And with that, I love to call it a wrap. Love to have you over again next week. This was an amazing discussion and great to have you here. Bye.
Thank you.